What is string theory? Why did it originate? What problem was it trying to solve?
Yeah, so actually the origins of the theory is exactly in this the situation I was talking about of the late 60s, that you had these strongly interacting particles doing very complicated things, the standard kind of symmetries and the standard kind of ideas about quantum field theory didn't seem to work. So people were developing different ways of trying to describe this. And one thing that they developed was string theory, which one way of thinking about it is that you, if in some sense our most fundamental theories now really kind of involve kind of point-like particles at a fundamental level, that those are the elementary constituents, that in string theory, instead of having point-like particles, you have your elementary objects are kind of loops. They're kind of one-dimensional closed loops, or maybe they've got ends. So that actually, that theory kind of just got going, around 1970, and there were a bunch of people working on it. It was a very active subject at the time. And then 1973 came along, and with the Standard Model. And then once people started to realize how powerful the Standard Model was and how this really agreed with this explained everything that people have been trying to explain now with string theory. By the time I was got to college and graduate school, people had pretty much lost interest in string theory. It really, it was clear that the problems it was trying to solve were better solved by these so-called gauge theories or by the Standard Model.
Yeah.
But it's not so some people, not everybody lost interest, and there were other people pursuing these things, and also again, by the time I was leaving graduate school in 1984, people for quite a while had been thinking about these problems of grand unification and theories of everything and quantum gravity. And what some of them had decided was that you could actually, while string theory hadn't worked out the way you had hoped for the strong interactions, you possibly could use it to create a theory of everything. And so, and in 1984, there was kind of a technical development that one possible technical obstruction to writing out a certain kind of theory, it was shown to vanish in some particular examples, and so that got some people very interested in trying to go back and pick up string theory and then use it to try to get a theory of everything. And the most prominent of these was one of this kind of great geniuses of our field, Edward Witten, who was really truly amazing. Anyway, and just an amazing person with amazing talent and amazing energy, and he had already been finding out all sorts of new things about the Standard Model and about that kind of geometry, and he turned his attention to string theory, and he kind of announced in the fall of '84, just around the same time I went to Stony Brook for my postdoc, that this is a really promising theory of everything, strings, and he was really very, people were out of other good ideas about what to work on these problems, and he was incredibly influential. So a lot of people took this very seriously, and I also know most of my friends who were postdocs, they all had kind of the same story. They all at some point would come to me and said, "Oh, I went down to Princeton to talk to Witten about what I'm working on," and Witten listened carefully and nodded his head and said, "Oh, well, that's all very interesting, but you really should be working on string theory because this is really this is where everything is going." And so, he had a huge influence in terms of turning the field to string theory. And